Hi, my name is Laura Ryan, and I am the new Director of High School Teaching and Learning. This is my first recording for the school board, so please forgive my fumbles as I go through. The first thing I'm going to want to do is share my screen, and we will see how that goes. Perfect. So I'm here to talk about the textbook adoption process for both government and economics this year. Um, I am going to do both of them in this one video, but you will be given in the executive summaries the two different slideshows. A lot of the information is the same, so I will talk only once if it's the same about it, and then I will provide the information if it's specifically different for government and econ. So this is just an information update as we are starting to select some resources to pilot and then hopefully piloting these semester and then come back to the board with a recommendation. So since I was not here in the beginning of this work, just a little review of where the Social Studies Department has been and what they did last year with the Appendix A, or actually maybe even a previous year. They found that in 2018-2019, Wisconsin had adopted 26 new social studies standards. In contrast to that, the high school social studies has not undergone a curricular revision since 2013, and they've been relying heavily on homegrown teacher-curated materials. Most of the classes at the high school level have recently gone through new textbook adoptions. We have already adopted new textbooks for Human Geo, World History, U.S. History, and AP Government. I think they are all in their second year of implementation other than AP Government. In order to align with DPI, we were looking for texts that carefully balance skill and content and that they shift toward an inquiry-based learning approach and that they're really inquiry and skill-based. Most of the texts go with the recommendation of Wisconsin DPI that the standards are divided into 6 strands and they are intertwined and progress across grades. That is social studies inquiry, practice and processes, behavioral science, econ, geography, history, and poli-sci. So not to be all isolated. So we're going to talk about the adoption of the U.S. government textbook and of the econ textbook as we move forward, beginning just with piloting at this point. So for the government team, we have one, well, actually for all the teams, government and econ, we have one representative from each of the high schools. You can see here for government, our team members were Taylor Bargren from North, Angela Murphy is the North instructional coach who has been providing support for all of us, Corey Ross at South, and James Job at West. In the econ side, you can see that those team members are named there as well, and we have Mike Horn at North. Angela serves on both as the instructional coach. Eric Lehman at South, and Carl Millard at West. These are the 3 teachers who will be piloting the text, the resources that we choose to do so, although they are not necessarily the only teachers who teach these courses. So as far as government is, and this is true for econ as well, government is a graduation requirement for all students. However, students may opt to take government or AP U.S. Government and Politics. And like we said, they've already gone through this curricular revision and textbook adoption process. Government is a single semester, 1 semester course, although AP US is a year-long course and their text is already adopted. Typically, students take government and econ at the junior and senior level. Econ, however, has not gone through a text adoption. AP Econ has not gone through a text adoption yet, and we hope that that would be on the horizon coming as well. So our rationale for adoption, you can see the behavioral strands or the standard strands on the right, and that all of these are intertwined. So we are really looking for an approach where we don't just talk about history once or just geography once, but we approach them and intertwine them and progress throughout the year. So the fact that we have no current curricular resource that does all of this makes it very imperative that we do so. And we also need materials that better align with an inquiry approach that begin with the model, the inquiry model. They align to the 26 state social studies standards. They revisit these stands, and we are always looking to provide more rigorous learning experience for all of our students. What we did as a selection committee is we took a look at several resources and we applied the textbook selection criteria. It is there for you to look at in the slideshow and on the executive summary, but we looked at things, each team looked at a couple sources, and they really looked at like the format, what instructional aids, did they have Spanish versions, the bias in the tone, the content that was in there. So all of that was looked at before we selected. As far as neighboring districts, a comparison here, and it is similar to the econ as well, is there's the most we found was McGraw-Hill was the common one. Several had locally created resources as we do now. And then I just wanted to reiterate that at the high school level right now in social studies, we are using TCI 10th grade and 11th grade. So 10th grade world history and 11th grade US history. And they're using the Bedford, the BFW publishers for AP Hug and regular Hug at the freshman level and AP Government and Politics. As far as government is concerned, they really looked and narrowed it down to 3 sources that they would like to pilot. So they'd like to pilot the TCI Government Alive. They also wanted to pilot the McGraw-Hill United States Government and Civics. And they also want to pilot the Bedford, the American Government Stories of a Nation, which the AP class is now using. All of these, I shouldn't say all of them, most of them had a Spanish language or version or access to it. They were in alignment to Wisconsin state standards and based on an inquiry model. They found all of them to be fair representation and using fact-forward language. So I'm going to talk specifically about government, and then I'll go on to econ next. So these are the 3 resources teachers are hoping to pilot. Oops. So for government, with the classes only being a semester long, it does kind of shorten our time that we can pilot if we want to get through everything. We thought, we discussed it as a group if we wanted to spread it out through the year, but we really discussed having that pilot with the same students and have those same students be able to compare what they did in one unit versus what they did with another resource was more important than spreading it out over 2 units, and then we might be comparing apples to oranges. So what government would like to do is begin with the TCI pilot, and you can see here that they said that they would like to do Unit 6, the judicial branch, and that it aligns within the unit that they already do, institutions of American government. Students are probably most familiar with TCI because they have used it in the past, and because it has such good Spanish access that teachers are comfortable starting that, hopefully that they can begin that in mid-October. They would then want to move to piloting the McGraw-Hill, and they're looking at Chapter 18 specifically there for campaigns and financing, and Chapter 19, public opinion and interest groups. The McGraw-Hill text also comes with a very nice inquiry journal that students may actually physically write in with their digital resource. McGraw-Hill is willing to come in and do some professional development with our teachers who are piloting this. Right now the plan is to have them come on October 26th when we have some PD time, and then the teachers would then be piloting this after that PD. They would also then like to pilot the American Government Stories of a Nation book, and they were looking at Chapter 16, the media, because it aligns with their Unit 5 elections, interest groups, and mass media. Bedford also said that they will meet with our teachers probably virtually, before that pilot happens too, so they can do a little professional development before that happens as well. So those are the three textbooks resources that government would like to pilot before the end of semester. So it would wrap up probably mid-December. Actually, this would probably go into the beginning of January. For econ, there are two resources the econ teachers would like to pilot, and that is Econ Alive, The Power to Choose by TCI, and Economics by McGraw-Hill. Same thing again, the TCI has great Spanish language inversion, McGraw-Hill as well. They are both aligned to the Wisconsin State 26 Social Studies standards. Both texts are based on an inquiry model, and they include fair representation and fact-forward language. The pilot process for the econ would be very similar, although they are piloting or choosing to pilot only 2, not 3 resources. So their timeline would be mid-October, and they would probably wrap up mid-December, where the government one probably last into January. Again, it is only one teacher from each of the school. And then it is going to wrap up by the end of the semester. They too would like to start with TCI, again, because they are most familiar with it, both teachers and students. And they plan to pilot the Unit 4, Economics of the Public Sector. That one currently aligns with their unit on fiscal policy. And then they are going to turn to the McGraw-Hill after, again, our October 26 PD with McGraw-Hill. And they would like to pilot Chapter 16, Monetary Policy, which currently aligns with their unit on monetary policy. And that is the plan for the piloting. We hope if we can wrap those up by the end of the semester, providing, allowing for student feedback and teacher feedback for each of those units and having some time to talk about it at the end of the semester, that we will be able to select and order and possibly even receive that textbook that we do recommend before the end of the year for teachers to really get to dive into it for the following year to implement would be our hope for our timeline. If you have any further questions, please don't hesitate to reach out to me via phone or email, and hopefully I can answer them for you. There are also a specific and individual slideshow for each of these courses that you will be provided. Thank you very much.